once they get started in SRL. We still have stream delay to worry about, so we will be getting with you momentarily, and by momentarily I mean right now, as we are getting a go signal here. So the caves all on the overworld are going to be randomized, and as you can see, that one is going to be a cheap magical shield and decently priced wood arrows, especially considering it's on the start screen. That's always a good thing to find, because if you find an early bow, wood arrows are always a better option than the wooden sword because they deal more damage.
Now, right off the bat, you are seeing different strategies from both runners. Xarnax choosing to head towards the eastern area in the forest, while RaikouRider is staying around start, and then we'll probably head over towards the Dead Woods.
All right, so now the interesting thing about taking these two routes here is what Xarnax is doing is he's making his way to the east immediately. Now, the east is going to have some advantages because 4 of the 5 Armos items or Armos statues are over this area. However, I can't say there's any more advantages because Raikou has found a sword, and that's right around 1 minute. So finding the early sword is huge, especially in the cave he found it at. So as soon as Xarnax heads over towards the Dead Woods, he will also be able to acquire a sword. Now, like I was saying, 4 of the 5 Armos statues are over in this general vicinity, or 3 of the 5, excuse me. And basically, the Armos item is going to be randomized. It could be the power bracelet, it could be something else, and it could be in any of the locations. And speaking of that, we just found it, and it is the raft. So finding the raft early. Oh, did he get it? I don't know if he got it there.
He'll probably check once he continues just to see if he did grab it.
Yep, so finding an early raft is good because there's only 2 raft spots, and if you can get them out of the way early, you're not going to be stressing to try and find them in a dungeon. So finding an early raft isn't the worst thing that could possibly be found here.
And actually, Xarnax probably heard the audio cue, whether he got the raft or not, so he knows whether he has it. We haven't seen him pause yet to know.
So he's got it.
Get it because he's taking the raft.
Yep. Now, over on RaikouRider's side of things, you did see him pick up the heart container as opposed to the potion and the candle. And, oh my gosh, did you see the amount of money that 100 secret just gave Xarnax?
That's a nice 100 secret there. Meanwhile, RaikouRider did find the area for level 9, which is located in the vanilla area where we buy the bait.
And that's going to be immediately used by Xarnax to pick up a candle, which is actually what I was getting at over on RaikouRider's side of things, is he opted to pick up the heart container instead of the candle, which, considering he has a sword, is not a bad option at all. Now, with the candle on Xarnax's side of the screen, he can choose to start creating a conflagration around Candle Row, or he can choose to go to the Dead Woods and start a forest fire there.
Which is going to actually get the sword on the way, so he will probably continue going through the Dead Woods and possibly head up to the grave.
Yeah, now that he's found the sword, Xarnax is definitely in a little bit of a better position starting off here, just because he's got money to burn, and no pun intended, he has a candle here. However, over on Raikou's side, he does have bombs, which is always something we want, especially because, well, you're going to have to bomb a bunch of caves, and if off chance you happen to find a dungeon, bombs will allow you to kill harder enemies in there because they do deal 4 hit points worth of damage, which is the same amount of damage the silver arrows and magical sword do.
RaikouRider is currently bombing what we consider the coast area. There is 3 bomb spots down here, so he will have to kill a blue overworld enemy to find another bomb drop for that last cave. And does manage to get it.
Yeah, but Xarnax, meanwhile, got to the Armos statue that contains level 9, but died. So I don't believe he actually got into level 9, so that's going to be interesting. He's going to have to go back there and find that. Meanwhile, Xarnax pulling off a screen scroll there to get to this cave, one to the east of Vanilla level 3. And it turns out it's just a take my money or a door repair, so he's going to opt to hit the up A button and continue to not have to worry about that. Meanwhile, speaking of continuing, RaikouRider is also going to have to do the same thing, except his continue wasn't self-imposed, he actually died. So far, this is looking to be a fairly rich seed, especially considering the 100 secret is 150 and the 30 secret is above 30. So this money is going to be fairly easy to come by in this seed, at least from the looks of things. So that's going to mean early or quote unquote early blue rings per se, or easy to buy arrows, bait, whatever we come across here. Speaking of meat, there's meat, but that's expensive meat. So Xarnax probably isn't going to pick that up, and he does not. A lot of the times what you'll see here with runners, if they have money early and find cheap meat, they'll pick it up. Just in the off chance they have to run into Captain Grumble's randomized into a dungeon.
Now, Xarnax did find the Take Any Road, first of which was in the Dead Woods. The second was at the top of the waterfall at the White Sword Cave, which is actually a good position because once he wraps around 5, normally you come out towards the waterfall and you really don't have much area to progress. You either up A or you have a long trek to your next area. The Take Any Road there will at least allow him to apparently jump over towards Death Mountain because of the location of the third one.
Armo statue where the blue ring shop is in Vanilla. And for those of you wondering why I seem like I am randomly talking to something, you don't hear it, but we have the lovely and wonderful tones of Jam Evil as our tech monkey in our ears. So,
hi everyone. You can hear me now, but hi everyone, and I'm going away. That's it. Bye.
So yeah, so if you hear us randomly talk, that's why we have voices in our heads.
The last Take Any Road did leave Xarnax in the woods, so the Take Any Roads are actually spread out very nicely in the sea. That's what you want to see from that, which allows for quicker traversing of the overworld until you get the whistle.
And Xarnax is going to be doing his exploring here. He does have some bombs that will allow him to do some coast bombing here if he so chooses to. He's also going to take a look, and we're probably going to find out what the latter item is right now, or the Coast Heart Container item is, and it is going to be an item that nobody is going to come back to. It is the book. Sorry, Lizzie, we do love you, but no one's coming back here for the book.
Xarnax able to check the second of the 2 raft spots.
Which turns out to be a door repair charge. But the 2 raft spots overall, a good early find because he was able to get the 150 rupees from the first one. So early raft turning out to be a good call.
Right now, RaikouRider is discovering for himself the locations of the Take Any Roads, so he'll be going through those and finding out where they lead him. Meanwhile, Xarnax continues to burn through the forest and finds himself a heart container, which will put him up at 5 hearts, which gives him a 66% chance if he finds the White Sword. White Sword can cost anywhere between 4 and 6 hearts in these seeds.
Now going to explore another Armos cave here, and this is the money-making game. So Xarnax opting to attempt it and only losing 6 rupees as opposed to 10. So not a bad option there, or I shouldn't say not a bad loss. Money-making game is one of those where it depends on how you're feeling. Meanwhile, over on RaikouRider's side of the screen, he has finally picked up enough money to get the candle, so he too can go create a conflagration on Candle Road.
Now, surprisingly, we have not seen a lot of levels yet, with both runners going in relatively separate directions. It's kind of feeling like we're going to see a few up in the Death Mountain area, so the runners may consider starting up there soon.
Yeah, this is feeling like it might be one of those seeds where, as you said, Death Mountain, but also potentially power bracelet spots. Now, for those who are familiar with the normal game, the power bracelet spots are traditionally the locations where the Take Any Road caves. However, as with everything in this game, they are randomized, so they could have the potential to have dungeons underneath them. I know in the preview race that we did right after the bracket reveal a couple of nights ago, 2 of the 4 power bracelet spots contain dungeons.
Xarnax finding another heart container guarantees himself the white sword whenever he comes across it.
And meanwhile, RaikouRider also finding a heart container, putting him up to a 66% chance to obtain the white sword.
Xarnax missing out on the very big payday from Money Making Game. He will, it looks like, burn the bush on what we call the Lost Woods transition screen, which is the area where a lot of runners will screen scroll to skip doing the puzzle of the Lost Woods. It saves 5 screen transitions and allows easier access up to the grave.
Now, the other thing about the grave here is once Xarnax is done here, he does have the option of either going up to Death Mountain or choosing to utilize the Take Any Road that's up here to go back into up into the northeast by level 5 and take care of all of that. And speaking of the cheap 70-30 meat here, Xarnax does find some cheap meat and decides he's going to pick up the 70-30 as opposed to the Kobe from earlier. Xarnax also choosing to purchase the quote-unquote cheap arrows that we discussed. So now we all know what that means. Because he purchased arrows, the next item he is going to find is in fact going to be silver arrows, because that's how this randomizer likes to work. And there's not going to be a single runner who's going to be upset with finding silver arrows early, because that means you don't have to go looking for them in level 9. However, we did manage to find a level here down by the grave. And from the looks of things, it's looking like Xarnax is going to be key blocked out of this already unless he can bomb left, which he cannot. This feels like 4.
Additionally, on RaikouRider's side, he found a level as well on Corner Bush of Candle Row. It appears to be level 3 because of the staircase and the entrance that he came in.
And the item we found there is going to be the heart container. So at this point, he is now also guaranteed to get the white sword. And speaking of levels, Xarnax also finding one up here in Death Mountain. And from the looks of this, there is a desert here. So there's only so many ones that have deserts. We know it's not 3 because that's what RaikouRider is in. So 2 has a desert, 8 has a desert, and doesn't 7 have a desert?
Yes. It really depends on how his bombing of these walls comes out, because really the layout of the level, it really is easy to tell with early levels like 2 and 1 because of access to other rooms and everything like that. So this one could potentially be 5. Or 7 as well. If he pauses, I'll be able to tell better.
I didn't think 5 had a desert room.
Oh, you're right. It does not. And it is definitely 7 because
7,
of yeah.
Not gonna lie though, while we see Raikou still burning down there by the lake and Xarnax going through 7 here. One of my favorite things about this is that in most dungeons, the Zols there, which are the gel-like enemies, take on the color palette. I love some of the alternate colors that these Zols can come up with. This like silverish color that the walls are is a really cool color for the Zols. Now to point out, with the levels in the dungeons, only being randomized by their layout, and they're all being in the same dungeon, having knowledge of the drop rooms in dungeons definitely helps. So if you know that, like for example, this shaped room that Xarnax is in, if you know it doesn't drop any items in the dungeon, you don't have to kill the enemies in it. So that is definitely a thing that can help you. And having a lot of experience in this game is definitely a huge thing. Speaking of huge things, all of the bombs for Xarnax over there on his side of the screen, that was a complete embarrassment of riches when it came to explosive devices.
Yeah, he seemed to enjoy it. Now, Xarnax is primarily searching for the Triforce right now, even though he did get shuttered into that Chevy room, which he can't cross without the ladder. But if he does come across the item area, he will definitely check it out. But a lot of runners, when entering and going through 7, will choose, if they don't find it, just to take the Triforce and run away, just because there are 33 rooms in level 7, and it does take a lot of time to search thoroughly.
And the one thing for Xarnax that he can possibly do here is he now has a couple of keys, and he does need a key to get into 4, or what we think is 4. So if I'm him, I just take the keys here and head back to 4 and work my way through there at this point. Or we can just find a staircase and be happy about it. And we are... Okay, he's going to be very happy with that staircase, finding a magic key, so all of his key problems now are going to be taken care of. That's one of those times where the commentator's curse is a good thing.
Absolutely. And he does choose not to do more searching for the Triforce right now. We'll come back later. And instead chooses to go through and search the rest of the northwest of Death Mountain.
And speaking of searching in the northwest of Death Mountain, he managed to find the magical sword here. And at this point, we are over on RaikouRider's side of the screen. We have found a spiral staircase. Now, of the normal dungeons, only one of them contains a spiral staircase, and that is level 8.
In all of its fluorescent pink glory.
So this is good, and we found an item there, and it is the power bracelet. So that is going to be another one of the items that is quote-unquote required to find. Now, what I mean by required is there are items that can not be in level 9. And those, for the most part, are the items you see on the bottom of the screen. So the power bracelet, because it opens up locations that can have dungeons. Same thing with the recorder. Same thing with the raft. Those can never be in level 9. The ladder and the bow can also not be in level 9 because you can potentially be ladder blocked out of dungeons or Goma blocked out of dungeons. The only one of the quote required items that can be in 9 is the silver arrows, just because, well, they're in 9 in the normal game. Why couldn't they be in 9 in the randomized version?
Raikou getting the bad luck of a Goma with 2 hearts and a green tunic. Now, Goma has a weird damage output. His fireballs and the loose heads will do 1 full heart of damage. However, if you hit the heads attached to his body, they only do 3/8 of damage, or 5/8 damage. So you will only take you'll take slightly less damage by hitting the heads on the body, which if you get hit, that's where you want to get hit. So you'll normally strategize to stay closer to Goliath's body there.
And now we are over on Xarnax's side of the screen and confirming that this is not in fact 4. This looks like 1.
Indeed it is.
So 1 is a great find because there are 2 items in here, and 1's a fairly small dungeon to explore. So that's going to be a huge, huge find here for Xarnax, especially if 1 contains some decent items. Now, I don't know why he's jumping in here to grab the map, unless it was just to confirm the location of the dungeon he was in.
Possibly ruling out 8. If he's not familiar with the black map, he may have just been ruling out 8 there.
That is a fair assumption here. Now, you can see Xarnax moving to the candle, and that is just in case he happens to get bubbled. Oh, speaking of good items there, those wall masters were guarding the step ladder. That's going to be huge. That's actually going to allow him to potentially go back in and explore 7 again, if he so desires. And the other item right on the way to the Triforce, so that's going to be nice. And the wand, also a good thing to find early, because the wand is going to have a couple of functions here. One, it will shoot out the magical beams, giving him a permanent ranged attack. And number two, if he decides he wants to smack things over the top of the head with his wand, he can also deal 2 hearts of damage, exactly akin to the white sword.
Another big benefit of the wand is, unlike the sword, it does not take the effect of the bubble, so it is a permanent sword-like weapon when you do get bubbled that you don't have to worry about losing.
So at this point, basically having a bunch of good items here and getting the ladder and the wand out of one basically means that if Xarnax so desires, he can probably go back into 7 and give it another thorough try, just because he is much better equipped than he was a couple of minutes ago going into 7. Now, I don't necessarily know if he's going to. From the looks of it, he's at least going to go continue his exploration around the mountainous areas of Hyrule. Now, over on RaikouRider's side of the screen, you can in fact see that the power bracelet was required, because the power bracelet rock over by the fairy fountain in the woods did contain a dungeon, and an early Triforce at that. So based on the layout with the NSU room and then going right, this feels a whole lot like 4 over on RaikouRider's side of the thing.
It is actually not 4, though. Using knowledge of dungeons, level 4 does not have a drop in the NSU room.
Okay, so what are we looking at then?
We are looking at possibly 6.
So if that's the case,
and
then
indeed it is.
Left. Yep. And finding the staircase there, so that's going to be good. Speaking of finding things, though, Xarnax has found the white sword up at Spectacle Rock, so he is now very, very well equipped.
Now, for the item in 6, Raikou will be looking for the corridor staircase. He has already found the 2-block staircase and the single-block staircase, so he will be looking for the corridor for the item. 6 is another one of those big levels, so probably won't want to spend too much time in here searching if he finds the Triforce. Depends on how he chooses to run, though.
So Xarnax now looks like he's going to be making his way up to Candle Row, and that is this area right around the forest and the lake by Vanilla Level 1 that we call it, because there are, I believe, out of the 9 screens in this area, 7 of them have burnable bushes.
Xarnax finding another 150.
And opting to buy the shield. And normally I like to maintain my unbiasedness as a commentator, but at this point I am officially cheering for Xarnax, because over in level 6, RaikouRider found the inferior model boomerang and opted to take it. So he by default is now on my list of I don't want you to win. He took the inferior model. Now, from what we know over on RaikouRider's side of the screen here, Xarnax is going to be finding himself in a dungeon, which we know, I believe, is level 3. And he's going to
find another heart here.
Yep.
RaikouRider did find some hints at what is known as either Heart Rock or Monocle Rock. Chooses not to take them. With the hints, there is a 50-50 chance that each one of those hints will provide a community hint, which is basically a troll hint that the members of the Zelda community came up with, or a hint that will provide good information to the runners of locations of items.
And speaking of items, that was a very quick 3 for Xarnax. So he's going to be perfectly happy with that. He found a heart container. Now, technically, there is a second one buried in 3 because the dungeon heart container drop is still there. But most runners aren't going to stress over finding the heart container. Most runners, in fact, are going to more than likely just be happy with getting a white sword and calling it good.
Raikou finding another heart container brings him up to 7.
Meanwhile, Candle Row and Vanilla 1, aside from giving him level 3, being rather trolly to Xarnax, finding 2 back-to-back door repairs. And so he lost quite a bit of money. I believe the door repairs are 24 in this seat. And immediately gets rewarded by getting a 33 rupee, so he's going to be filling his money up ever so slightly. And Xarnax, meanwhile, finding another dungeon here. This is quite the interesting color palette here we've got on this one. And I know for a fact this one isn't 4, guys.
This one is indeed 2.
Well, 2 times 2 is 4. Does that count for anything? That counts for a Triforce early. So making our way here through 2, the one thing to note in 2 is that every you can bomb up. So if there is a wall going up, you should be able to bomb into it on the vertical portions of the moon, as well as being able to bomb across. The only exception to this is you won't be able to bomb down into the old man's room. So if you bomb and you bomb down and you can't get there, you know for a fact the old man is there.
The other good thing about 2 is there are a lot of drops. A lot of the drops, however, for Xarnax are not needed because they are keys. However, he does need to clear out quite a few rooms if he is looking for the item, which he is, since he still needs bow, silver, arrows. So he will be doing a lot of killing as he's making his way through the level before making it back down towards the Triforce.
Finding the heart container. So of note, there are 2 rooms that look like that one that Xarnax just in 2. One of them contains a drop, one of them does not. So if you get the drop in the first one, you know you don't have to kill the second one. Nico, no, this is not. The money or life rooms are only in second quest, and because this is a first quest tournament, there will be no leave your money or your life rooms. The only black rooms it's going to generate Lord Banana, you picked that up, Why did you not pick up Lord Banana, you? I don't like either of these runners. One picked up the inferior model, one left Lord Banana. I'm going on hiatus.
Raikou did indeed pick up the blue ring, so he will now be taking half damage from what he was before. Definitely a slight benefit to especially runners who aren't as comfortable with battle. I know that I still use it very often. It's always nice to have basically double the life.
Sorry about that, everybody. I lost my composure for a minute. I need to take a powder. So I got my powder. We're back. We're back to more Zelda Randomizer. And we have another dungeon over on RaikouRider's side of the screen. And can I say it? Can I say it?
Yes, you can. You can be happy about it.
We found 4, guys. Now, in level 4, there are going to be 2 of these double block rooms that you see RaikouRider in currently. And, ouch, that's going to hurt getting knocked out of there by the manhandler. But of these rooms, one of them is going to be an item drop room. The other one is going to be nothing. And in order to move the block, you got to kill the manhandler, which Manhandla is being Manhandla and not cooperating, of course. So RaikouRider opting to say, nope, 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 getting out of here, not dealing with angry flower petals, and we're going to move on and hope that that is not the item drop room.
Now, Xarnax finally did discover level 9 in the area where he died earlier, so he knows its location now. The other thing with Manhandla is as you kill the heads, his speed continues to gain, so he becomes a lot more difficult to fight and predict when you kill one or two of its heads. So he can waste bombs very quickly. It is definitely a killer in many any percent runs.
Xarnax, meanwhile, finding a hint that he doesn't need because it's telling him where the white sword is, and he's already got the white sword. So, meanwhile, we do know where the Triforce is located in 4, thanks to a compass that RaikouRider did pick up. So it's going to be directly north of the room he's in. Now, 4 is a quote-unquote smaller dungeon. So this is one of the dungeons where you'll see runners take the time to find the item in, unlike with something like 7 or 6 because they're larger. So even though we know where the Triforce is located, we're definitely going to take a look through to hopefully find an item that is worth the trip. Now, we know for a fact, because we've seen both Lord Banana, the inferior model, and the book, that most of the other items we're going to find are going to be something at least worth picking up.
Now, one other nice thing about 4 is the trek through, you'll know very early on what you need to do in rooms, because there are actually only 2 rooms in the entire level that you need to clear to find an item on the ground, and those would be Gleok's room and then one of the open rooms with nothing else in it. However, Raikou is out of bombs right now, so he cannot progress any further across the level. So he will make his way back to the Triforce and have to come back to search for the item then.
Although he's also going to have to come back for the item because, as you can see in that Chevy room, he is ladder blocked.
Xarnax did find another one of the large secrets, immediately followed by one of the door repair people, but still has quite a bit of money. When he gets up to, and also finds a dungeon as well, which is going to be level 5.
I believe 5 is the only one we hadn't seen yet, so... No, this is 8, because the spiral staircase. Yeah,
oh, this is the one,
yeah,
yes. This
remember
is
the
one that was...
magenta color. And he is going to find the croissant, as people like to refer to the power bracelet as. And that is a nice find, because 1, we know there is a dungeon underneath a power bracelet spot, and number 2, it's right on the path to where you're going.
Now, he will choose to explore more of 8 only because he has the ladder, he has the Aniki. So he will not be facing the same blocks that Raikou did when he was in here.
Now, the other thing you just saw there is that Gleok went down ridiculously fast, and that's because Xarnax is using a little tiny trick. And that little tiny trick is we're utilizing the wand and a sword. So if you tap the buttons on the exact same frame, you can get both of them to, quote, attack at the same time. And what that's going to do is it's going to cause both of them to trigger their damages, as you just saw there, by that Dark Nut dying. So basically the white sword deals 2 per hit. The the wand deals 2 per hit. So by utilizing this little trick, you can deal 4 hit points of damage as opposed to just 2.
The last Cole's voice giving Xarnax a huge troll getting stuck in the wall and then going out of bounds to where he can't even be reached. Now, with the choices of dungeons dwindling for the bow, Xarnax is going to choose to search around for the final item innate before collecting that Triforce.
Xarnax, unfortunately, not getting himself lucky with finding this. However, by coming out of the other end, we will know which staircase we are looking for. And by that, we've seen a spiral, we've seen the corridor, and we've seen a diamond. So we now know what we're looking for here in level 8. Meanwhile, we know by the dungeon color over on RaikouRider side of the stream that he is in fact in 1, which he's going to be very, very pleased about, because 1 does in fact contain the ladder.
Now, due to the fact that Xarnax cleared the current room he's in before, he does have to re-clear it every time he comes in, with it being a shutter area, and makes quick work thanks to the clock.
Getting an unneeded hint, but is going to find a very angry Goma blocking this, so you can guarantee that's not going to be the bow, because the bow cannot be guarded by Goma. However, he is going to find the reporter, which is going to make travel a little bit easier there for him. Because as you know, in Vanilla Zelda and in the Randomizer, the reporter will in fact transport you to the screen of a dungeon, assuming you have grabbed the Triforce there. Now, there is another option for Randomizer where you can turn off that option and just have the reporter transport you to the normal locations of the dungeons in Vanilla Zelda. Not something we have here, but it is an option.
Now, with the recorder, there is also what is deemed Recorder Lake over in the Lost Woods. However, we will not see Xarnax check that because he will probably find the remainder of the levels before he needs to trek back over there, and that is a little out of the way for him to go to.
Now, I do want to point out over here on RaikouRider's side, he's found both items, because he can't not pick up the ladder, unless I missed him picking it up, which I don't think he did. So he, at this point now, is going through 1 to find the heart container. Now, this is something you're not going to see a lot of runners do, but, well, he does find it immediately as I'm talking about it. So at this point, he's found the heart container and both items. So I'm not sure why we're making our way through the rest of 1 here, unless he didn't. He had to have picked up the ladder.
Possibly. He could be looking for keys. He's down to 1 right now, so he may just be concerned with his key situation at the moment. And actually, Raikou must have missed picking up the ladder, because in the NSU room, he was not able just to quickly traverse through the area. So he right now does not know the ladder is in 1.
Yeah, the ladder was in that. Basically, when you take a look at the eagle, the first single block room that's right above the 3s in the middle, I believe that's where the ladder was. So I don't see how you could miss it. So now we know what he was exploring for. He was exploring for the other item.
The ladder is in the room south of here, so hopefully he checks south again.
Oh, was it south? I thought it was there. Yeah, it's... No, the south of there was the wand. The ladder was the room that would be north of Vanilla's starting location in 1.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, because it was the wall masters who guarded that. Xarnax, meanwhile, taking care of everything here up in the northeast section of our map. And he's going to first head over here to utilize his last bomb over on this bombable location. Going to find himself a secret, which, you know, isn't bad. Money's always nice, even if it's only 9 rupees. And then he's going to make his way over to this screen where you normally buy the candle if you're using World Record Route at any percent. This is also the screen where you would screen scroll into level 5 to avoid going up the Lost Hills. And this is an interesting thing over here on RaikouRider's side. Because of the Goma here in 1, he might be under the impression that the item is bow blocked, unless he goes up and finds the hands here in this room he's in right now. So that is an entirely a possibility. And he is now going to realize that he found the hands, so that is going to be good for him. So he's going to be very happy he could, in fact, find the grabby grabs.
Meanwhile, we have Xarnax in level 4 right now. He does not have bombs, so he will possibly choose to fight Manhandla with the beams from the wand, allowing himself to keep his distance. So we may be able to see if the item is indeed in Manhandla's room in 4.
That was a really good fight, too. And Manhandla was, in fact, guarding the item, which is, drumroll please, the silver arrow. So that's a huge, huge find for Xarnax. Raikou, meanwhile, clipping into the diamond room over on his side of things. Now, we know from the colors and palettes that he is in 5. And that's basically because we've seen 7 and 2 already. And 5 contains the bow. So we now know where that is located as well. So he's going to be happy with finding the bow there. He's going to be even more happy when he goes back to 4 and finds the silver arrows. Xarnax, meanwhile, having the ladder, can just walk right into the Chevy room, grab the Triforce, get the negative color on Link when he's holding up the Triforce, and be happy about that. Yes, Ampharos, that does in fact make it believe that the red ring and red candle are in 9, because we found the ladder and the wand in 1, the inferior model Lord Banana in 2, heart container in 3, silver arrows in 4, bow in 5, inferior model in 6, magical key in 7, and 8. I can't remember what 8 had, but I believe it is
8 was recorder and power bracelet.
Recorder and power bracelet. So yes, red ring and red candle are in fact going to be in level 9. Yep, now it's always interesting when I take a look over on screens and I see the screen not moving, because if the tornado from the recorder hasn't spawned on screen yet, I think the stream is frozen. So it always freaks me out a little bit. Meanwhile, Xarnax going to be pleasantly surprised here, or happy, I should say, because he is now finding a dungeon. Hey, look, Triforce. We know this is 6. Yeah, so this is going to be one of those times where going through and not immediately picking up the Triforce is going to be a bad thing. Because we know what the item here is. So if he had already found 5 and knew and had the bow, he would be just grabbing the Triforce and running. But say, yeah, you avoided the Lord Banana. If you go down those stairs and take the inferior model, I'm just done. I'm just done. I don't know if I can handle 2 people picking up the inferior model in the same run. I don't know if my little TGE heart can handle that.
You do not have to worry, he did not pick it up.
He at least redeemed himself a little bit.
Now, lucky for Raikou, he did indeed find the compass, so he knew he could go back to the start and just make his way over towards the Triforce since he has found the bow. We'll pick up the key as well since he has not found the any key yet.
So at this point, we are going to be looking for 2 more Triforces over on Xarnax's side. He has yet to find the Triforce in 7, which he already knows the location of because he has found the magic key within its walls. And we also need to pick up and find level 5, which interestingly enough is going to be in a power bracelet location because it is right above level 1 over in the grave. So Xarnax, unfortunately, not going to find it here. And I do want to point out that if you remember at the very beginning of this stream, I mentioned that the last stream I did had 2 dungeons in her power bracelet spots, and this one does as well. So apparently that's my thing, is dungeons in power bracelet locations.
Xarnax is actually deciding to use the recorder to warp around, so we will see where he decides to go with it.
I believe he would be attempting to, well, we know he needs to warp to 1. Alrighty, so I'm getting a request in the chat to list the locations of items. So here we go. I'm going to try this from memory. Level 1 contained the ladder and the wand. Level 2 contained the excuse me, Lord Banana. Level 3 was a heart container. Level 4, silver arrows. Level 5 was the bow. Level 6 was the inferior model. Level 7 was the magic key. Level 8, recorder and power bracelet. So that means by default, level 9 contains the red ring and the red candle. The wooden sword location was in fact randomized, Nico, and it was going to be, it's in the cave directly north of Vanilla level 3.
Very good. You forgot Coast Heart item, or the Ladder Heart item, but we're fine with that. We know that's the book, and no one will be returning for it. And
Lizzie would.
Yes, Lizzie would. But Xarnax is making his way back over towards the level 1 area, so he will possibly, I should say, find level 5 fairly soon.
Meanwhile, over on RaikouRider's side of the stream, he has found the what I like to refer to as the frozen color palette, because it does look like you are climbing up into Elsa's ice castle when you find this color palette. So as you can see, both runners currently in the same dungeon, which we know is level 7. The difference between them is Xarnax is going to be searching strictly for a shiny piece of triangle, whereas RaikouRider is going to be looking for both a shiny piece of triangle and a triangle-shaped staircase, or a reverse C staircase, that's going to lead him to a wonderful item. In this case, we know the key to end all keys, the skeleton key, the magical key, the key with the lion on it. Anyway, you get the point.
Xarnax making quick work of those dongos normally in that room, and any horizontal river room, if there's a drop, it will be out in the open, but he did need to clear them for the shutter door.
Not to mention the fact that if you kill them utilizing the smoke and the sword stab technique, you get bombs. Now, of the 2 items that every dungeon drops, or 3 technically, because Heart Container is 1, but Xarnax finding the map, which between the map and the compass, map, not the one that he wants. He's definitely looking for the compass.
And Data, he was actually not blocked by anything that we know of. He chose to leave, possibly waiting until he found the ladder and possibly a stronger sword or bombs.
And speaking of that, a nice easy Triforce on the ground in a room close to start. So that is 7 pieces of shiny triangle over on the Xarnax side of the stream. So he has just got 1 more to go, and that is in fact level 5, which, as we are watching here, we know is at the power bracelet location by the grave. Unfortunately, Xarnax not doing that. He is going to opt to try and take out or try to acquire the magical sword here. Unfortunately, 10 hearts not going to be enough to get it. Now, as you know, in the vanilla game, you need 12 hearts to utilize the magic sword. Here in Zelda Randomizer, you need a little bit less or a little bit more, depending. It's a plus or minus 2 scenario there, so anywhere between 10 and 14 hearts can acquire the magical sword. Unfortunately for Xarnax, his 20% chance didn't work out.
Xarnax will choose to search this last power bracelet spot and find it is level 5, and he should have deduced by now that the bow is indeed in there as well.
So opting to take the immediate staircase right here at the first room as he enters 5, and not a bad option considering 1, the bow is right next door here, and 2, it's an early staircase, so it's easy to get to and from if you end up in a location where you don't want to be. There is the bow. So Xarnax now is going to be fully equipped as he makes his way through 5 here to get the last piece of the shiny triangle, so then he can go after the walking pig roast himself in Ganon.
Now, additionally, the nice thing about this being the final dungeon that Xarnax clears out is he will be able to take a slightly shorter path to 9 than we would normally see. He'll probably just head a few screens over and go down towards the lake and actually scroll across the mountain to the northern Armos.
The other benefit of doing it that way is he's going to basically have full hearts as opposed to warping there going back to the start. And Ampharos over in the chat does make a good point. Because Magical Sword is fairly close here, we did pick up another heart container. He's probably going to roll the dice on that 40% chance as well. And all right, the great Sir Nico. Keeping track of dungeon locations does seem like a lot of work. However, most runners do have some sort of program that they use or a dry erase map. So usually you have some sort of way to take care of it. Now, as you can see, that map that you see on the middle of the screen on Jam's thing, that is something that runners can use to find it. We are only tracking some certain things on the map, but most runners tend to use something like that. Meanwhile, you did see Captain Grumbles there in level 5, and because Xarnax did in fact have the cheap meat, he chose to feed Captain Grumbles a very cheap 70-30 ground beef patty, and he's going to be very, very happy.
Now, unlike Raikou earlier when he was in 5, Xarnax did not get the compass in the northern part of the level, but he is clearing out in a way that you may typically see runners clear out, and that's just going each level and just going all the way to the end and then sweeping up to the next level. Gets his Triforce, and we will see if he checks the magic sword, and then he will be on his way to 9.
Dodongo, as always, being its trolly self. And let's say, trying to figure out why Xarnax went back into 7, but forgot that's not where the magical sword is. It's this one over here. And 11 hearts is the magical number to acquire the magical sword, and that's going to make Xarnax a very, very, very happy streamer. So now he's going to be making his way over to level 9 to start the hunt for the pretty, pretty princess.
Xarnax trying to figure out where he is on the recorder, and finally gets to 7 to head back down towards that screen scroll area.
Raikou, meanwhile, found out the same bad news that we did, and that is, unfortunately, the magical sword is not going to be a 10-heart sword. Now, meanwhile, over on Xarnax's side of the screen, we have made our way into the Pepto Pink level 9. So hopefully the pretty colors here are going to make Ganon easier to find. Now, you see Xarnax opting to go north from start first. Now, not being someone who runs this on a regular basis or runs it at all, I'm only giving my opinion here, but I find that this is the correct way to go, especially if you have the option to go north, because there's only a small section that you have to clear as long as you can continue going straight up north, and by doing so, you can rule out Ganon's rooms basically being on that far right-hand side of the dungeon, because you can hear Ganon's cry, unless of course it's a Patra. Then you have to kill the Patra, go back in to hear Ganon's cry, but that's semantics. Or you can just find Ganon right there and call it good.
You're unable to hear it, but he did hear Ganon's cry in that room, so he knew Ganon was there very quickly.
And with the magical sword, Ganon going to take 4 hits. No chance of the infamous Hyrule driver coming out. So now that is a very, very quick Ganon kill. So now at this point, Xarnax is going to be going through and looking for shutter doors. As soon as he finds a shutter door that opens automatically with enemies in the room, he is going to find Zelda. I was kind of hoping it was going to be this room with the red land molas, just because it was going to be crazy. Now, this is something I want to put out that's very interesting here. If Xarnax does manage to find Zelda in the next minute and a half or so, that's going to be a sub 1 hour RTA on this seed. So seed is one of those, this is one of those nice seeds that decides, you've been a good boy today. I'm going to let you have some nice things. Speaking of nice things, RaikouRider did just pick up a nice little satchel of explosives there as he is making his way through Death Mountain. And does manage to acquire the letter, which is going to allow him to purchase a potion, which I would imagine he's going to get considering how fervently he was saving his rupees up to acquire the blue ring earlier in the run.
Now, it is important to note that of the levels that runners will normally pick up the map, you will normally see them pick up the maps in 8 and 9, just because orienteering yourself through those larger levels can be daunting, especially with where you are in regards to the north-south, how many rooms you are up or down.
Now, the thing that you see Raikou currently looking for, in addition to acquiring the white sword there, which he has the magical sword, so he doesn't have to worry about it because he did find the 11 parts, is he still hasn't found level 2. So that is what he is most definitely looking for, is to find level 2 so he can get the last dungeon, last piece of the Triforce he needs to find. He still has a bunch of Triforces he has to still go and acquire, but that is definitely what he's going to be looking for. Meanwhile, Xarnax still making his way through the Pepto-Bismol dungeon here, and he is hoping and praying that by killing this room, he acquires a compass, which will lead him on the path to Princess Savine. And speaking of level 2, RaikouRider did manage to finally find level 2, which is going to have the same enemy set it normally has, ropes, and, well, ropes, that's about the only thing it's going to have normally.
Now, right now, Xarnax is a little concerned and being very, very conservative because he is down to 1 bomb. He doesn't want to waste it on a dead wall, so he will probably start looking to take staircases throughout the level to see where he can get to.
Although he does opt to take a look at these last couple of rooms here, and tries for the clip into the diamond staircase, and instead the Wizrobe opts to say nope, nope, nope. Uses the shield that he bought to block a beam, gets beamed. However, one thing I do want to point out is he also, I'm not sure how this actually works, he shot an arrow at a fairy, and the fairy restored his health. So, I have no idea how that actually works, but it does.
Now, unfortunately, the path Xarnax did lead him to a staircase he has already discovered, but makes good use of his final bomb to get into a new room. Has a Patra here, but we'll kill it to see if it drops any bombs or possibly the compass.
It does drop bombs, so that's good. And Myriad does make a good point over in chat. Orange Wizrobes do, in fact, drop bombs, or potentially drop bombs in the counter. So Xarnax is going to choose to stab any of those that he sees. Not sure why he's killing that Wizrobe, just because it was there, and I can stab you, you're not moving. Ha 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 ha. And there is Zelda. Xarnax has found the princess, hiding in the eye on the left-hand side, and that is going to be it. So Xarnax finishing with a RTA time of 103.03. And that is going to make him be moving on here in this tournament. And he is actually going to take on Vonky, who won his race a couple of days ago. And by a couple, I mean yesterday. Very, very, very strong showing here by Xarnax. Meanwhile, level 3 deciding it doesn't want to play nicely with RaikouRider, opting to tell him, nope, 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 I want to see you spin and dance and fall flat on your face. That's basically the animation for Link dying. Chris, I believe the sound you are referencing that I make is the sound when I'm describing the consecutive kills counter, because the sound of Link dying is completely different than the sound you want me to make. Now, Raikou still has 2 Triforces to obtain, the one out of level 8 and the one out of level 4. And he's also going to be needing to go back to level 4 because that is the location of the silver arrows, which we know he needs. So, from the looks of things, because of the path he is taking, it looks as if he's going to, can't really decide where he wants to go. Do you want to go up? Do you want to go down? Do you want to go up? Do you want to go down? Left, right, up, down, A, B, start, select. Opting to go up the ladder into the Lost Hills section. So it looks like we're going to be hitting level 4 first and then level 8. Not actually a bad idea, because if he finds the silver arrows in here, which we know he's going to, then that means he doesn't have to explore level 8 to find them, because 4 is shorter than 8, and yes, 4 is less than 8 too. I know you guys are going to give me trouble for it. And opting to get out of the dungeon and then go to 8, I'm severely confused right now as to what's going on. So now we are making our way back into level 8 over on RaikouRider's side of the stream. And because he is here, there are 2 things he is looking for. The first and most important thing, of course, is going to be the Triforce piece. And the second thing that he is looking for is going to be the item, which we know is going to be the recorder. But he is hoping to find the silver arrows. He's going to have to go back into 4 to find that eventually. All right, so we know from the exploration we've done here that this staircase here, the spiral staircase, where's where the power bracelet was held. So he's just going to be having to kill things to get through the shutter room there. And I did have his stream on momentarily just to get a quick audio cue as to where he was. And he was looking for the magical key, which makes sense. It does make things a lot easier. But he's under the thing of, nope, I just need silver arrows. So he is going to be looking for silver arrows. He's going to be a little bit disappointed to find them not here in level 8. And going to be equally as upset when he realizes that he has to kill the Manhandla in 4 to get them. Also going to be a little salty when he realizes that I almost had it, and the thing, yeah, Manhandla was being Manhandla, and well, everybody knows who's tried to do any percent run of this game that Manhandla kills lots of runs because Manhandla is a gigantic troll. So now we see over on RaikouRider's side of the stream, he has in fact found a diamond staircase, opting to block clip in, where he is going to find the staircase is going to lead him deeper into level 8. And that is going to give him some information because, as we know, there is a corridor staircase and a spiral staircase in level 8, as well as 2 diamond staircases. So when he finds the second diamond staircase, he's going to be perfectly happy and know where his room is, opting to bomb up here, which bombing is always a good decision, and making his way into a very, very laggy room with fireballs and manhandles and, oh my, all kinds of fireballs, and having to kill things there just so he can open the shuttered door. From the looks of things here, I'm not gonna lie, I can remember what items we found in the scene. I don't necessarily remember where all the item rooms are in dungeons, especially these later ones that have a myriad of rooms that we have to take care of. So it's looking like this is going to be a nearly full clear 8 here for RaikouRider. So that's something he's going to be a little bit disappointed about. Also, I do want to point out for those of you who might not know it, because random facts and obnoxious things is what I tend to do. You do know that every dungeon in Zelda has got a name. Like level 1 is the eagle because it's shaped like an eagle. Level 2 is the moon, etc., etc. The item here at level 8 is the lion. And the lion shape here is actually the same shape, quote unquote shape, as the lion head on the magical key. Which is interesting because in the vanilla game you do in fact find the magical key here if you choose to look for it. Getting the compass that he knows where the Triforce is, but having the constant blinking reminder of, hey, I'm over here, I'm shiny, come pick me up, always a good thing to have. So does manage to find the final staircase room with Goma, and just says, I'm not going to worry about finding you. And he should have immediately known because, actually, no, it should have, because silver arrows can be Goma blocks, just the bow. Pardon me, that's me getting ahead of myself and my tongue running on way too fast because I think before I speak. We all know I do this, don't tell me I don't. And so now picking up the recorder, so he now has a, well, he hasn't found the magical key yet either, so that we know isn't 7. He still has to go back to 4 to find the Triforce. So he's going to be happy that he's not going to have to go through 7 to find the item there. And he's just going to have to get the last Triforce piece out of 4, grab the arrows, and then go for a pig roast. Now, Nico, can you please explain to me what you mean by the commentary being randomized? Because aside from me being my normal sporadic self, I'm not sure what you're talking about. However, level 8 and the randomizer designed to be its normally destructive self, saying, oh, no, you found the Triforce you're trying to get going? Oh, absolutely not. I'm going to kill you because I like to do that. So, going to have to make our way all the way back to the Triforce room. And Miria, there are no other races scheduled tonight. I believe, as far as I know, the next race is going to be tomorrow. And I will address all of that, of course, when we do the outro of the stream here. So don't worry, sit back, relax. You'll get all of your information as to what's coming up next when we get to that point. However, if you do want to find out what's up next and don't want to wait for me to tell you, you can always go to challenge.com/Zelda Randomizer 1 and find all the information you need about the Zelda Randomizer tournament. But now we have Raikou picking up the Triforce here in 8. And he is now going to be making his way back to level 4 to pick up the Triforce there. Excuse me, and to also pick up the item, which we know is the silver arrows. Chris Luke, he does in fact have the wand. It was an item in 1, and he picked it up. So having 6 bombs, magical sword, and full hearts, that's going to make, and blue ring, that's going to make killing the Manhandla on his way here a little bit easier. Okay, a lot easier. Who am I kidding? Magical sword and bombs makes killing Manhandla a lot easier. However, opting to not kill the Manhandla. Ugh. See, this is the point in the stream where, because I, as the commentator, and you, as the viewers, know what's going on here in this, it hurts me to see that he's opting to not kill Manhandla. He's hoping and praying that the other 2-block room is going to be the item so he doesn't have to kill Manhandla. It just, again, it kills me to see that. Just because, again, we know he's walking right by an item. The one good thing about level 4 here currently, though, is the enemy set he's got in here. Now, enemy sets are something I didn't have a chance to discuss earlier, so we're going to talk about that now. There are 3 different enemy sets that you have a potential to come across in dungeons. There is the Gorilla enemy set, and that is the one you're seeing here. That it contains Gorillas, Ropes, Stalfoses, and Wallmasters. Then there is the Darknut enemy set. That is the one that's going to contain Darknuts, obviously. That contains Darknuts and Pole's Voices, which are the jumping bunnies. Then the final enemy set is going to be the Wizrobe enemy set, and that's going to contain blue and red Wizrobes, Likes, and Fires.
Raikou just discovering that that double block room was not the item room, so he now knows he has to fight Manhandla. But also importantly, in his search for that room, he did spend his last key as well.
And having no keys going into 9, that's a bad place to be. If he does choose to go right back into level 4, so he now knows he's going to have to unfortunately get manhandled here, so he can find his item. He is going to be pleasantly surprised, though, or happy, or pick your word that you want to choose for excited, ecstatic, etc. And does manage to kill the manhandle without getting shot, and finally getting his silver arrow, so he's going to be extremely, extremely happy. He doesn't have to go digging through the 33 room level 7 to find him. However, if he does go back into 7, he'll be pleasantly happy that the magic key is there. So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes from here, if he opts to go immediately to level 9, or if he opts to go into 7 to find the magic, or to find the item there. Now, at this point, via process of elimination, we know that the last 2 items in 9 are the red ring and the red candle, but Raikou does not know this, so the option of the red ring or magic key being in 7 are still there, so there is a potential he does that. I'm not sure why he was going up north here to 5, but it does give him a potion, so that's going to be a huge thing. Now, he is opting to do the blue potion strat because the blue potion was less than half the price of the red one, so he's going to buy a blue potion for 27 rupees, exit, go back in and buy a second blue potion for 27 rupees, making his total 54, and he's going to acquire a red potion through that method. So that's what you call stealing from the merchant.
Now he did choose to up A back to start, which means he will not be going back into 7 searching for the item in there, which we know is the any key. So he will be entering 9 with a depleted inventory of keys, so hoping to get a little lucky with some of the bombing walls and things like that.
Yep, but we actually do know, though, that you're not going to, I don't believe you need a key to get to Ganon, which is going to be nice. So if he does the go north strat, like I tend to recommend, of course, my recommendations mean nothing, and he'll be at least happy with the easy Ganon find. Now, of 9s we've seen in all the practice races, this wasn't a real trolley 9, so that's at least a saving grace.
Chooses to take the north route as well,
which is good for him because he's going to find that that's exactly what he needs. And opting to kill the Landmolas there because keys, and we all know keys now. This is the room where you can hear Ganon, so he knows that he is he should know that Ganon is in there. Just opting to take a quick peek down that staircase to see if he got lucky and found the red ring or the magic key. I don't blame him on that at all because it's right there on the way, but now we know the giant pig is going to be above us, and because it's the only way he can go so far, it's the only way he can go, he's going to go up and get pleasantly surprised that this is the point where we can start the spigot turning, because it is time to put the apple in Ganon's mouth to start the roast.
Now, unlike Xarnax, who has run many 80% runs throughout his time, Raikou doesn't seem to really know the pattern of Ganon as much, so he is sort of running around searching for him, hoping just to get a hit in before he takes too many high roll drivers, and seems to be doing just fine.
Yep. Very, very decent Ganon fight there. So now he is going to be on the hunt for the pretty princess. And as we know, she's not that far into the dungeon. Just has to go back and, well, find her, I guess is the proper way to describe it. One thing we didn't mention that is an option you can select here is you might have seen the fact that items were being switched and the menu wasn't being opened. That is because there is an option here to utilize the item swap command, which is the select button normally to do that. And basically what that does is going to allow you to cycle through all of the items that you have in your inventory without having to pause the game, go to the menu to be able to do it that way. So it is a little bit of a time save. I know there are some runners who opt to do it and some who don't. It is a matter of preference.
Now, unfortunately, Raikou did spend his only key to go into that troll room that he is currently in, where there is no benefit of being in. So he will now have to try to find a staircase or a couple of keys to help him get towards Zelda's area.
Does manage to find a bombable wall to the north in the spiral staircase room, which is going to lead him into some rooms where he can potentially get some love out of this one. Chevy room here, and does get some bombs. That's some love, right? Now, that Wizrobe setup is strangely familiar to me. It reminds me of one of the rooms from Link to the Past where you use the Cane of Spamaria in the middle of them to blow them all to pieces at the same time.
Spent some time debating whether he wanted to bomb in Patra's room. Now there are no drops there, so there would be no benefit to killing Patra in that room.
So we know that he is looking to go to the left-hand eye here in the in level 9 here. So he is technically only 2 rooms away. Now, if he can manage to bomb left out of this room, and then bomb left again, he would be fine. And we do know that there is a left-hand opening in Zelda's room. We also know that Patra in that black room does in fact drop bombs. So here we are hoping and praying that we can bomb to the left here, and we unfortunately are not able to. So at this point, we're going to have to find again, this is for us knowing the path, going to have to find a key drop to help us get there, or a quote-unquote magical staircase. Now making his way back to the start and finding an island room, opting to not up A in that scenario, he can keep his hearts, and he was close enough to the beginning to not have to worry about losing too much time here. And at this point for Raikou, because he knows that Xarnax has already done over in the SRL channel, this is just a matter of finishing the race and getting a potential PB out of this. Also, finishing the race for experience is also always recommended. So at this point, he is going to be attempting to find his way again back to the left eye of the skull here in level 9. However, that location at the bottom left portion of the skull is not where he wants to be.
Does take a death. He does have a blue potion left, but he may choose not to use it until he has a little more knowledge of what's going on in the dungeon, just because he would hate to use it and then have difficulty later maybe getting back to Zelda once he knows where she is.
Yep, so again, at this point, he's going to be looking for one of two things: the magical, mystical shutter door, or the compass, both of which will be incredibly useful. The shutter door being more so because finding said shutter door means, hey guys, look, game is over, I don't have to do this anymore. And finding the red candle, unfortunately, not even the red ring to make the path through 9 a little bit easier. And I'm not going to lie, this does make me very sad to see up in his B button slot is the inferior model. Now, I know he's had it for a while, but okay, good, it's gone now. I feel so much better. It's not sitting there staring at me, laughing at me, mocking me. So at this point, I have been keeping track of the shop locations, but if there was one close to 9 that sold keys, I wouldn't be opposed to going back and buying one there.
No, he does have 101 rupees, so that would, in most cases, give him the chance to pick up the key. Normally, there's one shop that a key may be sitting a little north of the 100 mark, so if there is one close, the only thing is most runners will not actually mark if a key is located in a shop or the price of it, so he may not know if there is one close or not.
And again, that's 101 rupees, not to be confused with 101 Dalmatians. The puppies are cuter.
And probably sell worth more.
Well, only if you're Cruella de Vil. And at this point, I think Raikou is realizing that he is effectively key blocked. So he's going to have to either go back out and find the item in 7, which we again know is the any key, he doesn't. Or going to have to go buy a key or get really lucky when it comes to the drops here in 9, because there are rooms that do drop keys. It's just a matter of finding them in this gigantic dungeon.
If memory serves me correctly, he has picked up 1 key so far, so that leaves him 3 key drops to go yet. Unfortunately, there are a lot more than 3 locked doors that he has left. Finding that the second staircase that he had there was another troll to an area where he has already been, so that in itself was not effective either.
And it does look like he is finally conceding to the fact that he needs equipment to unlock doors. So, from the looks of things, he is going to be whistling, and it looks like by utilizing the whistle, he's going to be heading back into 7 to find the item there. Or not, I'm not sure.
Yes, he is heading back to 7. He is just trekking there from 2.
Okay, because why wouldn't you just whistle straight to 7? I was a confused TGE for a minute. And I know, confused TGE is normal, but this was especially confused TGE. Now, technically, this is a gamble on RaikouRider's side of things because he doesn't know for a fact that the any key is in 7. This could still potentially be the red ring because he hasn't seen that item yet either.
As a normal Zelda randomizer player, me personally, I would be actually very concerned right now that the any key would be a 9. The any key seems to be a item that ends up in 9 quite a bit, and additionally, it seems to only be an item that you get when you have a ton of keys.
Well, because we've already determined that's the way the randomizer works, is you buy wooden arrows, you find silver. You buy the blue ring, you find the red ring. You have a ton of keys, you find the any key. That's how the randomizer likes to work. So now looking to screen block clip here through this dig dogger. Unfortunately, not going to find him the item drop room. It is going to find him a staircase.
Now, another option that Raikou could have used here, depending on how much he's cleared and collected, 5 actually is also a very advantageous spot to go to when looking for keys, just because it has more key drops than any other dungeon. So if he didn't collect a lot of keys from 5, he could have also used that knowledge to go back and try to gain some from there.
Uh-oh, hold on. Give me 1 second. I got to take a look at something here. All right. Well, there we go. Jam took care of what I was taking a look at, and unfortunately, that is going to be the end of this race for us because somebody did not listen to the viewer guidelines. I want to give kudos to Raikou there for immediately taking care of it in the way that needs to be taken care of. So unfortunately, is going to have to hit the forfeit button because he was given information about a location of an item from somebody in his chat. As you can see here in Jam's chat.